welcome to the Second Time podcast. I'm Vanessa Smith. This is my weekly update on how job hunting is going. It's the end of my 11th week of job hunting today. I felt particularly unenthused this week. It's incredibly hard to convince yourself to spend all week doing tasks which have a very low percentage chance of having any actual value or outcome. Think about it. Spending your entire week doing work knowing that less than 1% of it will mean anything. It's illogical to expect someone to feel good in this situation. The problem with expressing frustration at this situation is that people will suggest to take a day off, and I know this is done in a caring way, but a day off solves nothing. It doesn't remove systemic discrimination. It just makes me feel like I've done less work than I could have, and therefore I feel crappier. Early this week I received a rejection from a job I had interviewed for. Only I had completely forgotten that I'd even interviewed for it. The people I spoke to seemed nice, but the work was ridiculously junior, and that's a variable that can make jobs unsustainable to me, so there's no real loss there. It's the type of job I would accept and then just keep applying for jobs. And I think it was only a few hours a week, whereas financially I need to work full time. I also had to break my ethics this week, which is common as a disabled job seeker. There's one place where I have never ever wanted to work. And of course, they turned out to be the employer behind a job I applied for via a recruitment agency. I agreed to be put forward for the job because I don't have the privilege of having ethics. I need to keep a roof over my head. It'll take at least a few weeks to know if I've progressed in the application, and overall it will be a month or two before I could start if I am to be the successful candidate. So while I'm cranky not to have the right to have ethics, it's not like it's a done deal or anything. But this brings me to another factor: companies who recruit slowly. It costs the prospective employees so much money when you recruit slowly. You need to be rich to be unemployed. I don't think the variables of time and cost are considered enough from the prospective employee's point of view. This week I'm going to highlight a few flawed sections from job ads. Job ad 1. Canberra, Brisbane or Albury. Hybrid. If the job can be done from any of those cities, as well as at least part of the week from home, it's actually highly likely that the entire job can be done from home. Job ad 2. Flexible working with 1 day work from home per week. Flexible work where you dictate or predetermine the flexibility is not actually flexible. Job ad 3. Work arrangement. On-site for onboarding and initial delivery. Hybrid considered under agency flexibility guidelines. If the employer lacks the skill set to train remotely, this is not the responsibility of the prospective employee. The employer should consider upskilling in remote training. The barriers I am facing to gaining employment, again, are mostly barriers which are A, artificial, and B, actively created by the employer. As I mentioned in episode 0, I've been editing a book based on my 2023 job search, which was the first time I had to job hunt openly, / as an I can't hide it disabled person. I made good progress this week, to the point where the book is starting to actually feel like a real book now. I'm hoping to set a release date soon. I have some final tweaks and formatting and those types of pre-publication tasks to do. The majority of work on creating the book is now behind me. That's about all for this week's update. However, I also had a wonderful suggestion a few weeks ago to include mutual aid in my podcast. I think that's a great way to support the disability community. I've decided to include this as a short spot at the end of my weekly update episodes. The person I'd like to tell you about this week is Anna, who is in desperate need of a new place to live in Melbourne. Her current living environment is unsafe and detrimental to her disabilities. I'll put a link to her Chuffed page in the show notes. You can read the specific details there. And if you know someone who has a spare room, granny flat, or something similar, please reach out to me and I'll pass on the details to Anna. Show notes can be found at normalness.com/second-time.